Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So in this video what we're going to be discussing is insurance tips and how I managed to insure a Nissan 350Z at 18 years old, and I'm going to tell you some tips that helped me to get insured on this. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit about me, as obviously every insurance is going to be different depending on your age, your gender, where you live. So I am 18 years old, I live in Devon, which is a small seaside county. I live in a small little village. So that definitely does make a big difference to my insurance, but I'll get back to location later as this is one of the biggest factors. So let's get straight into it. How much did I pay for my insurance on my 350Z? I paid £2,495.02. This is relatively high, and there was one big factor which put my premium up by quite a lot just before I went to insure it. This one big factor was snow. So just before I went to insure my car, about a week before, we got a lot of snow down here in Devon. And this put my insurance up by quite a lot. So before I was getting quotes of about £1,900 to £2,000, which is relatively low considering it is a £5,000, 287 brake horsepower. It's quite a hefty car for an 18-year-old. So this was quite low, but it then jumped up to £2,500 because of the snow, which was very unfortunate, but I'd already bought the car, so I kind of had to pay the insurance at the time. So a little bit about me. I am 18 years old, I've got 1 year of no claims bonus, and I've also got 2 additional drivers, which are my mum and my dad. Make sure you can put some additional drivers on your insurance, as this will bring it down by quite a lot. I have noticed this, it was bringing my quotes down by about £800 or £1,000, which does make quite a big difference. Obviously make sure you are the main driver, because if you are an additional driver and you put your parents as the main driver, it may be cheaper, but this is insurance fraud. So make sure you are not doing that, otherwise you're going to have to watch out, because that is definitely illegal. Unfortunately, while I was parked up, birds thought it'd be a good idea to, take a dump on my car. There's also some here on the windscreen as well, which my windscreen wipers have gladly taken off, but it's still kind of there. It does need a bit of a clean. I also parked my car on a driveway, which definitely makes my insurance a little bit cheaper. So I did do a couple of quotes as doing it on the road, doing it in private land, just to kind of see what the difference would be. It only reduced it by about £50 or so, but if you have got a driveway or private land is preferred. If you have got either of those, this will make your insurance a little bit cheaper, which is always ideal. You can always save money. So location. Location is a very important factor when doing your insurance. Obviously, I live in Devon, as I mentioned before, which is a relatively safe place. There's not many crimes, there's not many car robberies, which does put my insurance down by quite a lot. If you're living in a place like London or Bristol, you might struggle to insure the car, as it's definitely going to be a lot more expensive because there's a lot more crime going on. So by living in Devon, this does really benefit me, as it does make my insurances a little bit cheaper, meaning I can have the slightly nicer cars at a younger age. But obviously this isn't the only reason why my insurance is low enough so I can afford it, but it definitely makes a big factor. People. So I work in a seaside town and I work in a little pub kind of restaurant. This does lower my premium by a little bit, and obviously if I was a mechanic I'd have lots of tools in the back of the car, which is going to put your premium up by a little bit because it just increases the chance of theft and your car being robbed or broken into. Another thing I definitely recommend doing as well is make sure you check all different comparison websites. Comparethemarket.com, Confused, they're both going to be here. They are very good websites to check, so I'd definitely go through those. But also make sure you go to the main website or the main company themselves. So obviously if you found one with Tesco's through Compare the Market, make sure you then go to the Tesco's website, as sometimes you can get a cheaper quote. Obviously these comparison websites have got to take a cut, so they've got to make some money themselves. So usually you can get either £50, £100 or a little bit of money off, which might just help you be able to afford the car. So make sure you definitely check the websites and also make sure to call them as well. So by calling them, usually you can say that you found another website or someone that's offering you a better value, and then what you can do is you can get your money down a little bit more, but that's definitely something to look out for. So another thing as well is to make sure you check your compulsory and your voluntary excess. So you choose your voluntary excess, most of the time it's about £250. Obviously the higher you set it, the lower your insurance is going to be. But if you were in an accident, then you do have to pay that. So if your voluntary is £250 and your compulsory is £250, you have to pay £500. If you set your voluntary to be £500, then you're going to have to pay £750 in case you get in an accident. So obviously be wary of this, as if you do get in an accident, you're going to have to make sure you've got that money behind you, otherwise you're going to lose the car. Another thing as well is to make sure you do your insurance annually, not monthly. monthly technically is a bank loan. So if you do it monthly, then you are technically taking out a loan, which can reduce your credit score if you weren't to pay it back or if anything was to happen. So I'd definitely make sure you pay annually, as you don't pay interest either. So I paid £2,495 and 2 pence, but if that was to be monthly, I'd end up paying £3,000, which is a lot to pay on interest. Obviously for some people it is easier to do it this way, so what I'd say is to get a 0% credit card, which will then mean you won't have to pay any interest, so it's just going to be better in your favour. So do not pay monthly, pay annually. So this is something that's more specific to the 350Z, but can be done with other cars as well. Obviously they all have different engine types. So in the 350Z you have a DE, rev up and a HR, so there's 3 different types of engines. For me, I found the DE was the cheapest option. It is also the lowest horsepower option, but it has got more torque than the HR. So I found that this was the cheapest one for me to insure. So make sure to have a look at all of them, because obviously the HR ended up being about £3,000 for me to insure annually, or about £3,200 or something, which is an extra £700. So obviously do have a look at the different types of engines. Make sure you do insurance quotes on the car before you buy it, otherwise that's a bad decision to make. I hope you found this video somewhat useful, and I hopefully that you can insure a car now by using some of these tips. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the likes button and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.